Mm-hmm. Ralph, you're up.
Hey, how you doing?
Pretty good.
I got another question for you. Well, first of all, the area that I've got my bees, we got a lot of rain here in Rome, Georgia, this year, and my backyard stayed wet. I wonder if that could have something to do with the moisture content that I was having in my hives too.
You run screen bottom boards?
No, sir.
But it's still, I'd say, yeah, you got the humidity up. My personal opinion, I'd say it has some effect on it. Well, I don't know what the other guys think.
I'd say that's the missing piece of the puzzle we were missing earlier.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
What is it? You were breaking up. He is, or he's not running screens?
He's not running
screens.
He's not running screens, but where he's got his bees will stand full of water.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I can't help it. It's just for some reason or another, all the rain we've had, our water table's real high this year. You can't even walk in my backyard without marring up. So, yeah. But the other thing I had, since I lost all those hives, I'm keeping the wax foundation that they've drawn out, and I was planning on when starting out this year, I'm going to use that foundation. Go ahead and put it in a nook and start them out in a nook, because I think that'd probably be a better way to start them, package bees out, and then move them into an 8 and 10 frame. Yeah. Would that be right?
Yeah, it's better to start them out in that size, but I don't know. You got to be careful. If I was looking at the hive, I would tell you whether I'd use it or not. Without looking at the frames, I can't honestly say whether I'd use it or not, because you got these viruses that's growing in the honey, but they say if you cap the honey that the viruses go away. I had an old timer tell me one time that if it's capped over 30 days old, that the honey was all right, except for foul brood. And you would know if you had foul brood, or you should know if you had foul brood or not.
All right. Well, I'm just talking about, the frame, that the bees were, well, they go in the bottom in the hive with the queen, so she can just start laying right off.
Yeah.
They have less work to do to build. I don't know. Maybe I should add a couple frames in there that's not drawn out. I don't know. Tell me what I should do.
Well, each individual like that. Early in the spring, you can get by with putting, if you got good 5 frames of foundation or whatever, you can put them all in there and they'll do just fine. But later in the year, you put all that foundation in there on a split, and you'll have hive beetles take it over before you can ever even think about getting a hive started. In the spring, you're all right. But once them hive beetles start, you got to give them just enough frames that they can cover.
Yeah.
You got to tell me about them hive beetles.
You got to keep them strong.
If I could figure out a way to eradicate, spray for them, I tell you what, we'd be doing great. Because it don't matter. I put,
I'm like Randy.
I found the best trap that, they got a little plastic one that you put a banana in and put poison on the 2 ends, and, it works great. It cuts down on them, but.
You going to say something, Langford?
I was going to say, I'm like Randy. If I'm not there looking at your comb, I can't really say yeah or no, because there's a lot of things that you can tell by looking down into those cells. You can see the scales of foul brood. You can see if it had a high varroa load by looking at the cells. There's so many things by looking into those cells that you can tell that the new beekeeper does not see or does not know to look for.
Yeah.
Well, where would you find the information on that?
A good mentor.
Somebody that's a good mentor. As I tell people, a good mentor that keeps bees alive from year to year and does not play on that treadmill of buying them in the spring and they die in the fall.
Yeah.
The old man that taught me how to be a beekeeper's kept bees 63 years. I love the man to death. And I mean, the man is a wealth of knowledge, and he says, I taught you everything you know, and now you're teaching me all of the new ways. Because used to, they just threw them in a box and went out in October and harvested honey.
Yeah.
Well, believe it or not, my father-in-law's the same way. You know, he's the one that got me into the bees. You know, and that's what he believes in. He believed in the build a box, put a cross in it, and throw the bees in there, close it up, and go back, throw a nook on it or a super on it, and let them go. And that's the way he did it. Yeah, I've got him starting to use frames, and you know, it ain't turning out very well for us.
Hang on, you'll figure you'll figure it out. As far as information on getting it's some of that stuff like the comb is hard to come off the get off the internet. Like people want me to put videos up teaching to graft. I can put videos up there all day long teaching people to graft, and maybe 1 out of 10 people will learn from that. If I've got them there and if they've got any aptitude at all in 20 minutes, I can teach them and they'll be grafting just fine. It's something you got to, it's a hands-on thing. It's not something you can't show. You can't see down the size of the larva. I've seen pictures on there show the right size larva. Yeah, I know what it looks like, but when you can't really tell it from pictures, you got to see it in person. And comb, you gotta kind of there's some the National Honey Show have some good doctors talking about the comb. You can look at on their National Honey Show. They're long-winded sometimes, but they're a wealth of information on what to look for. I've seen one that was just put out this year, so you can look in this year's, and there's some there that should help you.
Yeah, that's a really good channel. I second that. I've got it's hard to take out hours at a time to watch all their videos, but I've got a whole bunch of them queued up to watch later because they do have some really good teachings on there. That's on YouTube, National Honey Show.
Yeah.
National Honey Show?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll have to look for that one. But Langford, I think it is Langford out of
Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Yeah, you're out of Chattanooga, huh?
Jasper, yeah.
Okay.
About 20 miles west.
Okay, well, I tried to look you up on the internet. I seen you on the last video chat. You know, I viewed it on YouTube, and everything. I seen yours, and I pulled it. I tried to pull it up, and I could not find you in the internet. It kept telling me you didn't exist. I was, like I said, I live in Rome, Georgia. I was going to, try to get a hold of you and see if I could get some beads from you, and coming up and visiting you.
His information.
Well, that would be you'd be more than welcome.
Click on his Langford's picture up there and his business cards up there. It should have all the information where you need to go.
That's where I got it last time.
I don't know.
Maybe it's the way I was looking it up. But I appreciate the info.
Okay.
I'll post my phone number over in the chat side so you don't even have to look at the business card.
Yeah, just give him a call there. Charles, you're up. Charles?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, my question is for Randy, 628 Dirt Rooster.
Sir.
Yes, sir. When you do your cutouts, how do you charge people for them? or do you charge, or what, and how much do you put back?
That's funny. Okie Rob told me that was going to be the first question up tonight.
I'm sorry if it's already been asked.
No,
I just got signed in here. Time
and material. I bid the job based on what I think it's going to take to do it, and as far as pricing per hour, it just depends on where you're at, because it's 100% difference from here to the northeast or the northwest. I live just a little north of you, right here on Tennessee, Alabama line. Yeah, this time and material you can figure on anywhere from 4 hours to 7, 8 hours for the typical removal, and it also depends on what the homeowner wants or the property owner. It's commercial. Depends on if they want you to put it back, if they want you to, if they're going to do any of the work themselves. Depends on if it's a dead hive or a sick hive. It depends on if somebody's sprayed it. and tried to kill it, because we run across that a little bit. A lot of factors involved in pricing the removal. I take into consideration whether it's a 1-story or 2-story, 3-story, or if it's inside or outside, or if I got to get on a roof, or if I got to bring a helper with me. So pricing it is just, I've got a heavy background in construction. I know what I'm looking at when I'm looking at them. I kind of know, usually have a pretty good idea about how long it's going to take me, and I just price them accordingly. So I got to, there's a lot to consider when you're bidding a job. That's probably one of the biggest aspects of doing removals, is figuring out how to bid a job. And really, I tell you, the thing that when I first started charging for them, because the first dozen or so I didn't charge, but it was good that I didn't charge, because I didn't really know what I was doing. I was a brand new beekeeper, and was just jumping into it with both feet, because when I started beekeeping, I had no clue about beekeeping. I really wasn't interested in beekeeping. It was getting the bees. It was chasing the removals and the swarms and stuff. I was all excited about that. I was like a kid with a new shotgun going deer hunting. I was out hunting bees, and that was my thing. That's what got me hooked on it. And it wasn't until much later that I actually became a fairly decent beekeeper. But knowing how to price the jobs, if I didn't know what it took, I wouldn't know how to price them. So I'd say, if you've got some that you can go do for free, or maybe you can negotiate a little fee or something, but if you can do it for free and figure out what it's actually going to take, and if you even want to do them, because they are hard work.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a background in construction, so.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I'm kind of I guess you call it jack of all trades, master of none.
There you go. You got a leg up on everybody else then.
I didn't know if insurance paid for it, or if
insurance will not pay for it.
Will not.
Will not.
Okay. All right. Then my other question is I did a swarm or a hive removal. It was in a tree, but it was built on the outside of the tree.
Yeah.
And Thanksgiving. How would I go about feeding? They had very little stores left, and we basically was trying to save the bees. I've been feeding them some pretty strong sugar syrup. I think it's something like about a 4-to-1 ratio.
Yeah, take them off of sugar syrup and go to dry sugar now.
Yeah.
You're talking about now, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like this week it's going to be up in the 60s all week. And
if it's still going to be cold, don't put any liquid feed in there.
Okay.
Just dry sugar, pollen patties if you got them, or if you can get your hands on them.
I've been feeding just a little bit of dry pollen out in my yard.
Where'd you say you're at now?
I live on the Tennessee-Alabama line, north of Huntsville here.
Okay.
I'm about 300 miles north of you.
All right.
Yeah.
I don't even know if they'll take pollen sub right now.
They're eating it up.
Are they? Okay. Give
on
it to
warm
them.
days. Well, I see. I don't feed them much. I give them maybe like a little red solo cup once every 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in swarm removal, Randy, but maybe you're talking about the hours, and you've got to figure that up on yourself. But is there an hourly range that he ought to be looking at once you get good at it? I mean, I have no clue. I don't do it.
That is going to be person to person, state to state. I tell you, the way I decided what I was going to charge to begin with is I'm self-employed, but I stay busy all the time. And whatever time I take off of my productive work that pays my bills, I need to make at least equal that doing a hive removal. So that's kind of how I considered how I was going to price the job. If I was going to take an entire day off of my work to go do a hive removal, plus I needed $100 worth of equipment, and I've got my gas, I've got all these tools I've got to maintain, I got saw blades I'm going to use up, and knives and blades and plastic covering stuff up. So it's time and material. You got to consider all your materials and consider your time. If I'm gonna make, if I'm gonna make this amount of money over here working all day on something that's a business that I have to maintain, and I'm gonna lose business if I don't maintain it. I'm taking time away to go do a bee removal. You're gonna pay me well.
Okay, that helps me. I've only done a couple in my life, and it was for a friend, so I had no idea how to charge. That makes sense to me.
Yeah. Well, my question is, Randy, you said something about insurance doesn't cover it. Is there no insurance that you have to carry?
You can carry liability insurance. Liability insurance for a beekeeper is going to be the same for a bee removal service, and it's going to run you in our area somewhere between $700 and $1,200 a year. So, around $100 a month or a little less. I'm not sure how that price ranges in other areas of the country, but that's about what it runs down here. You're looking at, you might as well say $1,000, $1,200 a year for liability insurance.
That's a bit. Go ahead.
Which is not a. I don't want to get anybody in trouble, but it's not a big necessity in my opinion. The liability coverage for me would only be if somebody got hurt. You're already doing damage to a property. The people know you're going to have to do damage to take the hive out. So if you know what you're doing and you're not going to short something and catch a house on fire, you're not going to bust a pipe and flood a house or something like that. And there's always that small chance that'll happen. But I didn't carry insurance for a long time. And only last year I started working under insurance. So most people don't ask. Usually it's going to be a business. It's going to be apartment complexes are the biggest ones that require insurance. So, and they're just a pain to work for anyway. So I don't really care about it. Contracts, I don't worry about too much. I've only ever had anybody ask me for a contract one time, and it was heavily weighted in my favor. And he was happy to have a contract. I signed a contract with him. That's all he wanted. He wanted a contract. And it didn't give him anything. It protected me in all ways, but he was happy about it. So most people, it's a handshake. I go in, I tell them what I'm going to have to do, how long it's going to take. Tell them they need to be out or be aware that they stand a chance of getting stung, and decide on who's going to do the repairs and all that kind of stuff.
What prompted you to decide to carry insurance?
Say it again.
What prompted you to decide to carry insurance?
A buddy of mine down here that was doing a lot of apartment removals got a job last year. And he had a bunch of removals lined up and asked me to do them for him. And so working on all his jobs.
Okay. Makes sense. Get your question answered, Charles, pretty much?
Pretty much, but you did say, Randy, that homeowners insurance from the customer would not cover the removal, right?
Yeah, homeowners insurance doesn't cover damage from any kind of pest.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, we got David up here. David, you're unmuted.
Hey, is that me?
Yes, sir.
Hey, look, I was asking, I have 3 hives, and they were within, I say, 50 yards of each other, but I have one hive that tends to be hive beetle friendly. And I'm just curious, is there something I'm doing wrong, or is that I've got the mulberry tree and right behind the yard, they within, I say, 40, 50 yards of each other. I've got another one about 20 yards from it. The hive beetles don't seem to mess with them hives, but this one hive seems to have a strong hive beetle and the hives are about the same strength. So I'm just wondering if anybody can share any advice on that.
First question I'd ask you, are all of them in the shade, part of them in the shade, or all of them in the sun?
No, well, where I'm at, all of them are in the sun and in the shade, different parts of the day.
Okay, but the one that's getting the hive beetles, is it in the shade in the evening?
No, actually it's in the sun in the evening, because when the sun sets, it shines directly on the hive.
Well, that's a big factor. You'll have less hive beetles in the sun than you will in the shade. And the strain of bee, that's a different bee. Some bees take care of hive beetles
Now,
a lot better than others.
okay, I have I guess you say a variety. One hive, I bought the queen because it was in trouble, and I had to buy the hive or a queen to requeen the hive. The other hive is come from a local fella. Well, actually, it's from the newt that I started from, is a requeening from that. And the other hive is an Italian hive. The Italian hive ain't got no problems. The other hive that I have, the mulberry, they don't have no problems, which that's the one I had to help, buy the queen for. This hive is the original newt hive.
Well, I would say this summer when you're making your splits, to mark the ones that you make the ones out of with the hive beetles, and mark them so you know where they're at. And if all the rest of them have hive beetle problems, you know that it's the genetics of the bees.
Okay.
Yeah. What do you think? Anybody else got any comment on that? Nobody?
It sounds like, too, that she's the oldest of the queens you have, right, David?
Yes, it is.
I can't help but to wonder if maybe she starts to fail a little bit and they're not staying as strong as the other colonies, and they're having less forces to fight the hive beetles with.
Well, as far as the population, well, yes. Okay, the hive fell back, but it regained. So,
what type of traps are you using, David?
Oh, I lost it.
Say it again, Chris.
Oh, you might have to say it. What type of traps?
What kind of traps are you using to trap the beetles?
The regular, what them little black, what do you call it? The busters or whatever.
Beetle buster hotels.
Yeah, the little, I guess they're about 6 or 8 inches long. You put the stuff in them and put them on the frames.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
We can use down under, but it's off label over there, so you've got to be careful. We use, what's that?
No, nobody said anything, Chris.
All right, sorry. Yeah, I just got bad internet at the moment. We can use roach bait down here, but it's off label over there, so be careful and check your laws.
Right. No, we can't use that here.
Yeah.
We can't use that here.
Yeah.
Down here, if we don't use it, we don't have bees, really.
Yeah.
So, and the bees can't get at it in a CD case in the bottom of the hive. So if you don't want to break the law, that's fair. Yep.
Right. No, we can't use that here. They're pretty
That's why I'm
strict.
saying that one.
They just now opened up the what do you call it, where we can fog them with the wood bleach and stuff.
Oxalic acid, yeah.
Oxalic acid.
Yeah.
So
I just watch the hive when you breed out of them. If the offspring out of that hive has the same problem, I'd requeen them and I get rid of that strain of bees. Train of bees has a lot of difference.
It's been a great hive, so I hate to. They're pretty strong, but it's just I have a bad problem with the beetles in there.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to move on here.
All right, appreciate it.
Chris, you're unmuted. Well, I said you was. It didn't. There.
Hey, how's it going, Joe?
Oh, pretty good.
Hey, good deal. I was just thinking about David also right there. He was talking about his oldest hive doing well. And maybe he hasn't done a change out or anything, and there's wax and stuff that's really doing well for the hive beetles. You might want to think about doing a box change out, and since it's his oldest hive, it's doing well.
Yeah, I don't think about that much. I sell so many splits and stuff that
I know it.
I'm a firm believer in keeping your wax out. I don't have any wax in this yard that's over 2 seasons old. I move it out. I think wax is a big factor in the bees' health. I really do.
I do too. And also about using that mineral oil for fogger. If you're having problems, you got to get it under control. If it's oxalic acid or something else, you need to, change your treatment up a little bit and see if you can knock the mites and everything down.
Now you can use, if you've got a real bad infestation on hive beetles, you can use Guard Star. It is labeled for honeybees. It's legal in the United States and is labeled for honeybees. Will it kill honeybees? Yes. But if you use it properly, it works just fine. And it's Guard Star. It's Prithic is the active ingredient in it, and you got to put it in an old-fashioned watering can with a big sprinkle head with hose in it, and you go out after dark. And you go around 3 foot around all your hives, and it'll knock the hive beetle population down really big. If you spray it and get it airborne, you're going to kill your hives. I'm just going to tell you that now. But I've used it in the past. Haven't had to in the last 4 years, but in the past I've had them so bad, and it'll knock them down pretty fast.
Joe, I've lost my picture, so I don't even know if I'm still even on here.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
Okay. Y'all see me?
Lost your picture, Randy.
We lost your picture, but we can hear you.
Hey, Randy, I got a question.
Go ahead.
Hey, you brought up the insurance and everything.
Yeah.
And I was thinking just as far as having hives at your house, and say somebody goes to the mailbox and gets stung by your bees. And as far as liability, what's the best thing you think of? Is it just your homeowner's policy, or should you have an external, some sort of other kind of?
You got to be careful with homeowners policies. A lot of them have an exclusion for honeybees. So if they find out you got honeybees, you stand a chance of getting your insurance canceled.
Mm-hmm. So what's the suggestion on that as far as trying to protect everything?
My brother.
Come on, Randy.
My brother's here with me now. He's saying Allstate don't have an exclusion. I know State Farm has an exclusion, and some others do too.
Yeah.
But if you worried about that, I'd say get a liability policy.
Just straight up liability.
The way I understand it, we had a person. I don't mean to interrupt in there, but we had an insurance lady, come and talk to the bee club here back last winter, and the way she stated it, and I have no way knowing that no homeowners will cover the liability on honeybee. None. Exclusion or no exclusion, they will not cover it. The only thing,
to my knowledge, they won't. But some of them do have
riders you put on.
Like if you have pit bulls, some insurance companies will cancel you because you got dangerous dogs. Some of them are the same way about honeybees.
Yeah. She said you have to do a farm policy.
Yeah.
Somewhere in livestock is the only way you can get covered on the honeybee. But I will. I researched that pretty hard. I live pretty much. I'm in town with all the bees I raise here. I've got a preschool that joins my property, so I don't raise mean bees, and they're real good about it. But anyway,
you done showed them where the school zone is.
Yeah, stay up.
Yep, they do pretty good. They really do. I don't have much problem with it. In the preschool, they wanted to bring them kids down here and go for a show and tell. And I said the liability is just too great. I can't do that.
Yeah, I wouldn't dare do that.
I'd like to mention too, it might also depend on your state. I know in West Virginia we have a law that says if you register your colonies and they're inspected, you cannot be sued on anyone that gets stung by one of your bees.
They've been at least 4 different times. It's been a case has been tried where people died. I mean, we're talking extreme. One guy had a contractor come in and work it on his house, and he was allergic to bees, and he died. And they've never had a successful prosecution on a bee sting. So if that helps you, and
right,
it's never been successful. And we're talking about these are 4 deaths, and they never had a successful prosecution against the guy or people. So you kind of got to be considerate of your neighbors. If you're raising mean bees, you need to probably change the bees you got. My bees, keep them well fed and teach them. The preschool's real good. I give her hives. She's got hives at home for mine, and she said we just teach the kids not to pick them up. It's not going to hurt you. Just don't pick them up. So it's been a good thing, and I don't worry too much about it.
Yeah, I ain't never had an issue. I've had people come on my property and get stung before, but they all knew I had bees, and every one of them that ever got stung was there for the bees, and it's never been an issue. I just don't worry about it a whole lot. I don't have a lot of people over here at my house anyway, but even on out yards, if somebody's there with me, they know what we're there for, and they better be prepared to get stung. Is all I got to say.
Right. I was just thinking, I've done a little bit of research, and the only research that I can find, or insurance I can find, is for honey production, and not really for nuke production or bee production. And so I was kind of wondering if there was
you got to have a farm policy. According to the lady, you got to have a farm policy. And
just go with farm.
I got an insurance agent here with me.
No.
Am I telling them right? You got to have a farm policy to cover the bee liability?
Not necessarily. A farm policy probably does cover it, but we've got a liability policy that does not have anything to do with farm. It's rated specifically for beekeeping, and it will cover our honey production. It will cover hive removals, swarm removals, and I think it's about $800 for the year to cover me and Randy and our dad.
Okay.
And when you get a commercial policy like that, it's going to be rated based on sales. So if you've got high honey production or you're doing a lot of hive removals and charging for it, the price is going to be higher.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we're going to move on here.
Jay?
Yeah.
Can I add to the Guard Star? We all watched Dr. Jamie Ellis on YouTube. His video on Guard Star. All that chemical. It's a very,
Dr. Jamie Ellis on YouTube.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, okay. That's good to know. Marlon Yoder, you're unmuted.
Yeah, just a quick question for Randy there. You had said something about a bloom schedule on the internet. Was there a particular place where you go to find that?
About what?
The bloom schedule?
Oh, you could probably just Google the, tree bloom schedule for your area.
Okay, that's what I've been doing. I've not had a lot. I might stop into the USDA office or something. They may have something there.
Yeah.
They'll tell you where you can get it at if you want.
We have, Mississippi State has one online for us.
Same thing for North Carolina. You may want to check with your state's bee association. They probably have it listed.
Tommy said entomology.
Thank you very much.
What'd you say, Randy?
Entomology department.
Hey, one thing you can do on that too is you can look and see what the bloom schedule is. If you can't find it for your specific location, find a bloom schedule for that you got that has something similar to what you've got, and then start watching for that where they break out in that list and start blooming. It'll pretty much apply pretty close to what you've got going on timeline wise. You just have to adjust it for you.
Maybe if you're in zone 7 or something, look up, see if there's a bloom schedule for zone 7. I don't know that it would be the same across all the way across zone 7, but
it'd be fairly close.
Yeah.
Because just for information like that, everybody says we sell local honey. You know what local honey, the real law is on local honey? It's the zone all the way across the United States. You could be plumb out in Washington State. If he's in your zone, that's still considered local honey.
It makes sense too.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Yep. A lot of it has to do with day length on that bloom too, though.
Yeah, it would be close. I mean, it won't be exact, but it'd give you an idea what to be watching for if you're in the zone.
Our extension office has our bloom schedule on blogs.extension.miss or msstate.edu. That's for our state. That's for Mississippi though. So I don't, your extension office might have it for your state.
Okay, I'll definitely check that out. I just wouldn't find it online really, not to my liking. Yeah. Thanks anyway.
I don't know if Marlon, if anybody said earlier, I can't remember. He was talking about wanting to produce more honey. Around here we don't do it as much, but like over in Europe, the big thing is you follow the bloom. So if you want to produce that honey, that bloom chart's going to be real important for you. Don't be afraid to move your bees and find places where things are blooming and just chase that nectar.
Yeah. Well, I own a grocery store, and they're coming in here looking for it, and I'm not been able to produce a lot of honey yet. And this is my 4th season, going into my 4th season, and I've had a lot of disappointments, but yeah, I need to figure out. I need to ask questions on the honey. That's where I was at. So, yeah, no problem. Yeah, no, thank you.
You got your picture back anyway, Randy. We can see you now.
Say again?
So we got your picture back. We can see you.
Okay. Yeah, I got stuck in the chat thing. I hadn't been in these live chats before. I got stuck in the chat and couldn't figure out how to get out of it.
Doug, go ahead.
Hey there, can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Hey, I got a couple-part question for you. Been following you and David at Barnyard. 3rd year beekeeping. I've taken my 2 up to about 25. I gave away 10. So I carried 15 into this winter. I've lost 3 to the hive beetle, got behind. They died, that's fine. I'm going to use those foundations for grafting. Signed up for grafting class through NC State Beekeeping, I guess the Born and Bred. I'm going to try to turn those into 100. I'm curious about how much sugar you think I need to have on hand. Should I stockpile 20 pounds, 100 pounds, 1,000? I mean, what do you think is a good number to have?
You're going to 100?
That's my goal.
A ton.
Holy crap. Okay. More than I thought. We have a local domino plant in town, and a lot of the guys around here use sucrose by the bucket. I'm assuming it's sucrose. They call it liquid sugar. And it's going for $7 a bucket. What are your thoughts on sucrose as to just cane sugar?
I'm not.
Sugar is sucrose.
Pardon?
Cane sugar is sucrose.
Okay.
Yeah. I thought maybe they're feeding corn syrup.
No, no high fructose corn syrup. And my other question, I have built most of my frames. I did the Kelly with the little V notch on them, brushed them with some melted wax. I wired them with 14-pound fishing line, red. And then I saw on the last chat y'all were talking, David said 8 was best. I just went side to side. Do you think that 14 is going to be bad, or should I try it and hope they'll?
I don't know. I use 30 on mine, 20 to 30.
Oh, okay.
I don't have any problem, but I don't go crossways.
Right. I saw your X, and I'd already done the crossways on most of them.
You'll find that they'll draw a prettier comb with the X, and I don't know why. And since I started hauling my bees around a little bit, I do a double X where there's an X in the top and an X in the bottom, and they draw a real pretty comb, and you ain't gonna tear it out of there.
Okay. And last part, I have a couple barnyard queens. I have some local Survivor North Carolina queens and some bee weaver, which are a little more aggressive than I like. I ordered some from Jason, a couple of the biters and the VSH. Going to try to use those to graft from. My mentor and another friend are about a third of a mile away, so I'm hoping to keep a drone hive there. What are your thoughts? The bee weavers are a little more aggressive than I like, but they're tough. They've been through their third season, no treatments, everything looks good. Are they worth keeping, or do you think I should get rid of those and keep that out of what I'm getting from Jason?
Well, that kind of depends on what you like. If you got to dress up and it's 90 degrees out there and you're sweating your butt off and you got to dress up and you don't work your bees right, that's no good. And
right.
If you're going to be selling bees, you ain't going to be wanting to sell mean bees to people. You aren't going to stay in business very long. That's my opinion.
You want to know what you're selling too. You ain't gonna know what you're selling if you're crossing everything.
Yeah.
Okay, and I guess for right now, let's say it's my third year and watching everybody and learning. From what I heard Jason the other day, I'm going to be a bee maker, a queen maker right now for the next year or two until I get a little more knowledge and I get a little better at what I'm doing, and then I want to pick a better stock and be a queen breeder. Just slowly trying to build up and learn as I go and get better stock. I definitely think I want to get rid of the bee weavers. I don't want to give them to nobody. So if I don't want to give them to somebody, I definitely don't think I want to sell it.
We'll just requeen them.
Right?
Requeen them in 6 weeks. They'll be the new queen's bees. That's what I say about packages. People worry about buying packages. You can buy a package from anywhere and you put a new queen in there in 6 weeks. It's all going to be her bees.
Okay. All right, because I got David's, I got some of his, and they are a lot more gentle. And I got the ones coming from Jason, and I'm hoping they're going to be gentle because I prefer little or no equipment as opposed to getting all that suit on. I went to a friend's house who had a 4 deep of the bee weaver. They chased me to the street, threw what I had on. I picked up 12 stings, and I was like, dude, I don't want anything to do with that. Not to knock them. They've been tough as nails, but they're mean as nails too.
Well, if David's bees is doing fine where you're at, you're not having any trouble with the ones Jason's raising in West Virginia. They'll winter just fine. Shouldn't be no problem.
All right, last part. On my dead outs that I had, like I said, I got behind on the hive beetles. They went into the winter really down, and I expected that, and they gave up on me this cold. The frames I pulled out had they were my first ones, and they're working on their third season. They had foundation, plastic foundation, and now they're drawn out really nice. They're nice and dark, and with my glasses, I'm thinking they will be good for grafting, but they got some mold on them. If I put them in a strong hive, one to a hive, will they clean those up so I can use those to graft from?
They will.
Yeah. And do you think that wax being 2 seasons old is too old for my first
no.
attempt? Okay.
No, not at all.
Okay.
There's people run wax out there for 6-7 years. It's the cocoons. Every time a queen lays an egg or raises a bee in a cell, it gets smaller because there's cocoon left in there. And when Randy sees this, when you go into dead outs, where it's been dead outs year over year over year, they'll abandon that comb. They can't use it. They can't lay in it. It's too small.
Okay.
Yeah. So now I think it'd be just fine for grafting out of. And no doubt, as a new grafter, the older wax is a whole lot easier to graft from than the new wax.
All right. Excellent. So a ton of sugar, you think? Man, all right, that's going to be a lot of sugar I got to get. I found it for 41 cents at Costco. David said 31 cents at Walmart, but I can't find that. Do I have to do something special to get that price?
I'm gonna tell you a secret right now. A beekeeper will talk about all bees all day long, but you go talk about his sugar supply, they shut up. They don't say a word.
I thought I was a moonshiner, so I get that. Okay.
They don't talk about their sugar.
So do you?
When you said you was going to tell a secret, I was leaning forward.
At $7 a bucket, what do you think about that sucra or that liquid?
Is it thick or thin?
It's really thick. It's as thick as 2 to 1 is.
$7.60 for a 5-gallon bucket.
$7 for a 5-gallon bucket.
Where are you at? I'll come down and buy it.
Charlotte, North Carolina. Come on and visit.
Yeah, a little too far.
Right?
But I'd be doing that because you've got more. If you went to Walmart and got them to ad match Walmart.com for $7.60 for a 25-pound bag, you've got more money and sugar in that bucket by the time you mix it up than you can buy it.
If it is really sucrose, I agree with that.
All right, how can I find out? Because this guy sells it to everybody out of the back door. You bring your buckets.
I don't know how to tell. Other than take it someplace and have it tested, I don't know. It almost sounds like he's feeding high fructose corn syrup, but I don't know that. That would be what I'd be skeptical of, and I would say not to do that personally.
But that's how I feel. I don't want to eat it, so I don't want to give it to them. So I'm curious. All right. Well, I appreciate all y'all do. Thanks a lot. Keep it up.
Maybe. Go ahead.
Hey, we've been buying 55-gallon drums of high fructose corn syrup and sucrose from a supplier. I don't even know. I've never been to the place. I've just had a truck pick it up. But we've been using it for about 4 or 5 years now. And it's waste sugar that comes from a manufacturer. And it's waste. When I say waste, it's leftovers or where they've had to clean out containers. And it doesn't matter if it's high fructose corn syrup, or if it's sucrose. The bees will take it. But my understanding is they will brood up better on sucrose than they will on fructose.
Okay.
But even if it is fructose, and you're getting it for $7 for a 5-gallon bucket, that's a pretty good price because we've been paying $100 per 55-gallon drum.
Okay.
Which is cheap because if you talk to some of the bigger beekeepers, they're probably paying close to twice as much as that to get a tanker load delivered. Yeah. As far as price per volume.
Would you cut it?
Price. And of course, that price is not including transport. It's costing extra to transport it as well.
Yeah. Right? Would you cut it? Because this stuff is pretty thick. If you spill some of it, it'll get hard in about a day. It'll gel up really hard.
Yes, I would cut it. I would thin it down right now because you want your bees to start brooding up right now.
Right. Well, I got right now they're.
If you're trying to get up to 100 hives, you need to be feeding a bunch because you're getting a lot of brood.
They've had rapid feeders on top with sugar on, and I got the big blue pollen feeder, and they've been having Ultra B, and I've been having immersion brood for the last 2 weeks. So I'm going in tomorrow looking for drones. As soon as I can find drones, I'm going to try grafting.
Where are you? What part of the country are you in?
Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay. Well, we're in South Mississippi. We're seeing drones already.
Right. Today we've been in the cold. We were 20s and 40s for the last about 2 days. And today I didn't get in, but a lot of people around here that I know, beekeepers, got in, and a couple of people were saying they saw a drone. And like I said, I've been feeding really heavy with the dry sugar and those rapid feeders. I've been feeding as much as they'll take. And
keep it up. And now, as far as dry sugar, I would be mixing that with water and making liquid out of it.
That's what I'm fixing too, because we just went through this 20 and 40, and it looks like the next 9 days we're good. The maples are already blooming, so even if we get a cold spell, following what David's been telling me, and I was thinking about switching over to like 1.5 to 1 here in the next week. As soon as I asked my question about the sugar and figured out what to do with that sweetener.
Yeah, but if you're getting it for $7 for a 5-gallon bucket, buy all of it you can because you're gonna need more of it.
Okay.
Hey, Doug.
Yes, sir. Oh yeah, I had one of Mr. Prince's queens. This was my 2nd year of beekeeping, and I had watched videos. I knew everything to do. I got my queen. I was ready for them to ball her. I popped that cork. I set her on top. She took 2 steps, and she flew as pretty. You ever seen anything? You and my wife were standing there. I was like, oh, shit. All right, learning lesson there. But yes, sir. Sorry, go ahead.
That does happen. So, I'm just a few hours away from you as well. And I was in a hive about 2 weeks ago, and I had a good bit of cap drone. So you could have a good bit there. I mean, our temper is very much alike, so it would not surprise me that you don't have some in there already.
That's what I'm hoping. So we're gonna try.
Y'all giving me cabin fever with all this.
What are you laughing about, Randy?
He's laughing about my bee lesson. It was hilarious. Dude, I was ready. I'm telling you, I was ready.
Bees getting away because we've all had it happen.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And that's why I figured keep telling that story because somebody else may learn. So.
But I was laughing earlier. I probably looked like an idiot because I was talking about something serious. But Darren Jerome, I don't know if you know him. He's been texting funny stuff across my screen trying to mess me up.
Man.
All this talk about drones, y'all making me have cabin fever.
I'm waiting on your queens, Mr. Bragg, and I tell everybody I can about all y'all, trying to get as many people to watch because I kind of feel like David. I think if I could look out my yard and see a lot of people having bees, I'd feel a lot better. I'd be happier.
Well, you was wondering about their temperament earlier. I can tell you they're all well tempered. I like to wear as few amount of clothes as I can when I'm working bees because I'm a sweater. I get hot anyways, and I can't stand the heat. And if I can go out there and work them with nothing but a T-shirt and shorts and maybe just a veil on my face or something, that's my preference. I kind of select out the ones that like to bite you.
We've been going at this for a couple hours. We got about 3 questions here, guys. We're going to try to run through these 3 questions. We're going to call it a night.
Thanks, guys.
Doug, you're unmuted.
Okay, you can hear me, Joe?
Yeah.
Okay, my question was, I just wanted opinion on running single brood or running double brood boxes, and this will be honey production.
For honey,
Yeah, I know y'all don't do a lot of honey and all. Y'all more propagate bees and all, but I've just been looking in. I didn't use queen excluders last year, and it seemed like my queen just kept going up, even up to the 3rd, 4th box. So I was thinking about this year, South Georgia, dropping down to a single brood box and running an excluder.
The extruder will, I'll let you, I'm real quick, Randy, and I'll let you have it. Queen extruder cuts down on your honey production. There's no doubt about it. I would suggest that you build them up real strong in a double and then put your first honey super on there. And then she may go up there. If you got a good queen, she'll go up there and lay a little bit in that next box up. But put you another box on there. As soon as they get some honey in that, change that brood above that and put you a solid band of honey over top of them brood boxes. She never go back up there.
Okay.
I like running doubles on anything I want to produce honey because, like Joe was saying earlier, the more bees you can put in that box, the more honey they're going to produce. And she can lay up more brood in a double than she can in a single for sure.
Right. Okay. Thank y'all.
Well, this going back to the myth of a queen will only lay 1,500 to 2,000 eggs a day, but you get people like Tim Ives and some of mine. I've got 3 double deeps, or three deep boxes, and she's got just about every one of them laid. You have superstar queens, you have great queens, and you have putzer queens. So it all's going to depend on that queen.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
I was talking to a commercial beekeeper tonight that he was talking to somebody else he knows that the guy's running. He's got 3 single 8-frame boxes butted up side by side, and then he puts queen excluders on top of that, and then he puts 2 10-frame deeps on top of that and starts stacking his honey supers above that. So he's got 3 queens producing for basically one combined colony to produce enough worker bees to fill up. And the guy said he's averaging 420 pounds a hive.
Wow.
Ian Stepler, the Canadian beekeeper, he runs some hives that way.
That may have been who it was.
Yeah, Ian Stepler. I think he runs 6 frame nukes, and that lets you use 2 10 frames on top, the right size.
We were trying to figure out how he was running 8, but it may have been 6 frame boxes.
Yeah, I think he runs 6 frame nukes, and he puts two 10 frames on top.
Is that who it is?
Ian Stepler, Canadian beekeeper.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we'll get on here to another question. Chris Garrett.
Hey, I was just going to comment on that, talking about the queen taking off and flying. I remember watching the Dirt Rooster, and he'd let them queens just walk on in, and I needed to put a queen in a hive, and I got the wife, got the kids over there, and they're like, oh, okay, we're going to let this queen go. And she just like started flying and flying and went on her way. Oh my gosh. But I didn't know no better. I was just stupid. I bought 2, luckily, because I paid like $100 next day shipping to get them over. I bought 2, and 1 took off flying, so the other one I did it the right way. I was like, oh, Dirt Rooster, what did you do to me?
If you're going to do is walk-in introductions.
It was a virgin queen that I was watching Dirt Rooster putting in there, and I was putting a mated queen into a hive.
Okay.
I was like, oh, man.
Yeah, if you're going to do those walk-in introductions, do them in the middle of the night.
Yeah, it didn't work for me at all.
Even
That's
then,
it.
I had one fly away on me in the middle of the night. I'd gone way out of my way to go pick up a virgin, and I put her on a landing board. I had headlights in my truck pointing at the hive, and my back to my truck, my face to my hive, and I set her down on the landing board. As soon as I did, she took off and went right up in front of my face, down in between my legs and towards my truck. I never saw her again.
Whew. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of times, if you'll just stand still and don't move anything, it may take 5-10 minutes. She'll fly right back to you.
Yeah.
Well, it was dark. It was dark out there, so she probably couldn't have found her way back.
Yeah.
You want to know? You want a real sick feeling at your stomach? Watch an expensive breeder queen fly away that way.
That was expensive just to replace a queen, but it's all learning experience.
I just did a video about that. I had a breeder queen fly away on me, and I backed up.
I've seen it.
Yeah, backed up and waited for a second. She came right back to where she took off from.
That's lucky. That's lucky.
I had just inseminated 20 breeder queens and had put them out under laying cages and was getting them introduced into their colonies. And these were out of like $1,000 breeder queen. And I got her late in the fall, and it was really too late to be doing that here, but I wanted to at least get one batch out of her in case something happened over the winter, because our winters can be pretty bad. And I went out and I pulled up the frame, and she's in there, and she looks fine, and she's obviously accepted. And I pulled the laying cage out of the comb, and she just immediately took to the air, and she had a clipped wing. I had clipped one of her wings down to the length of the inside wing, and she still flew around me like 5 or 6 times, then turned and flew back the other way. She wasn't flying very fast, and she just kept circling me. And I just held my hand out, and she lit right on my hand, and she crawled right in the box.
But so they can fly with clipped wings. I've had them fly up too with clipped wings. That don't stop them from swarming. Anybody thinks that a clipped wing will stop a queen from swarming, it's false. They will fly.
Tommy said, cut them back to the cuticle.
Well, yeah, I guess you cut them both back and get them all down where they got nubs, and then they might supersede them. But okay, here we got one more question.
Thank you,
David. You're unmuted.
All right, I appreciate that. I appreciate all of y'all because I look for y'all for your advice and stuff like that. But these breeder queens that y'all talk about, that you get inseminated or can y'all kind of shed a little advice on what exactly they are?
Jason, I'm going to let you handle this one.
Well, a breeder queen, in my world, now everybody has their own definition of a breeder queen. But in my world, a breeder queen is a queen from a known lineage or a known breeding program where they've been selectively bred to exhibit certain traits. Like, for example, the Buckfast queens were selectively bred by Brother Adam over years and years of time to be good honey producers, gentle bees, they don't swarm easily, that sort of stuff. And he mated them. He had the luxury of mating them in an area where there were no other bees. So pretty much whatever he put out to mate in that area, they would mate with the drones that he had there for them. In a lot of folks' situation, you don't have an isolated mating area like that, and you have it's growing quickly, but you have a small number of people in the U.S. who are starting to do instrumental or artificial insemination, and that's what I do, and that's how I'm able to run so many different strains and keep them pure and separate from each other, is because all of my breeder queens, I select the drone colonies and I select the queen colony, and I make very specific crosses. For VSH, of course, you can't just make the cross and say that queen's going to be perfect, though. You have to constantly select for the traits that you're wanting to get out of that line of queen. A lot of our queens in the United States now, since the borders closed in 1922 to keep the trachea mite and other viruses from getting here, which they eventually got here anyways, but a lot of our queens are pretty mixed up. But occasionally you'll find people like Sue Colby at Washington State University who has gone to the country.
That's the name.
Yeah.
I've seen that.
Yeah, you'll find people like her who have gotten special permission from the government, and they'll go outside of the U.S. and bring back drone semen and breed some of those pure strains back, like the Carnica, the Caucasians, and she's brought back Italian also, but they haven't released any of the Italian stock yet. Jackie Park has that at the moment.
I understand. Now, like me being down here, I call it deep woods or backwoods or whatever, would getting a queens like that benefit me?
If you're doing production and you're just worried about growing honey and stuff like that, the production queen's all you need. They're going to be a lot cheaper. Most of your breeder queens start at like $300 and go up. I've paid $1,000 a piece and sometimes a little more than that for them, depending on where you get them. If you get one from Sue, we'll pay $1,000 and sometimes a 2-year waiting period because you're on a list.
Right. Well, I'm looking at retirement right now, and I don't really have no retirement, so I'm starting to build this business, and I'm looking for how you say it, the best
stock you can get.
Yeah, and the best that I can do to
it's also, the different strains is also pretty dependent on your location. Location means a whole lot, and I might have a strain of bee right here that does good on the forage in my area, and we might go 50 miles away and have different plants, different forage in that area, and that strain may not do as well.
Well, I'm Midwest Georgia. I'm about 100 miles from David, back here, and the other fellow from Rome. I'm about 100 miles south of them, directly down.
I'll tell you what I would recommend. If you're wanting to get into breeding bees and raising queens, selling nukes, I would get built up. I would take whatever stock does good for you. If you're getting stock that does good from David or whoever's nearest to you, take that. Build up to get yourself up to at least 100 colonies. And then once you're doing good with those, then get you a breeder queen and start trying to raise queens that way.
Okay.
got a good support. You got a good number of support stock to help back you up.
Question: when you say colonies, are you talking about full hives or nukes or?
When I say a colony, I consider, if it's a support colony, at least a 5-frame nuke or bigger.
Uh-huh. Yeah. That's the reason I asked. Right now, I have, like I said, I've got 3 hives that I'm starting with that I'm going to be splitting. Mm-hmm. And I've got 1 nuke started, and, well, they doing pretty good. But I'm fixing to start. I'm going to start. Unfortunately, I mean, I thought it was going to be a little later, but it looks like I'm going to start splitting quicker than I thought I could. And I'm just wondering, Joe May, he does nukes. And I'm just wondering, should I use them as like splits and go to nukes to raise my bees, or
you can
I'm up in the question with that.
Mm-hmm. You can raise them just fine with nukes. I would be prepared to go 2 or 3 deeps. I would have some extra boxes just in case they start getting ahead of you. But yeah, you can do just fine with 5-frame nukes. Now, when you drop down to something like a 2-frame nuke or a mini mating nuke, those are pretty much just for getting the bees mated. Now, you can overwinter those sometimes, especially probably down in your area. But up here, I use a 2-frame nuke. In fact, I've got an old barn out back on the point. I've built a whole rack of 2-frame nukes inside the barn with PVC exits going out the back wall. And what I use those for is introducing inseminated queens and getting them started in the 2-frame nukes and getting them laying for the folks before I send them out. Now, what I use for mating queens is I use a Man Lake. It's a medium. They're 3-frame mediums, but the mediums are cut in half. And they have it's a double nuke. There's 3 frames on each side, half mediums, and 2 little feeders inside. And I try to set those, out of the windy areas and away from the larger yards, and usually alongside of a tree line somewhere or a fence line, so that the queens can find their way back easily, and I don't place them real close together.
Well, I'm way back into the woods, so that shouldn't be a problem, I guess. But,
okay.
But that really, I really appreciate that. I appreciate all of y'all. Y'all have been a big help to me. And like I said, I'm a subscriber to most all of y'all. Mr. Jason, as soon as I can get a video on you, I'll subscribe. And I appreciate all of y'all.
Sure thing. If you look up on YouTube, search for New River Honeybees. I'm on there.
On New River. Okay.
New River Honeybees.
Okay, guys, it's getting a little late here. We're going to call it a night. It's been fun. Randy, I appreciate you coming on, answering some questions.
I enjoyed it. It's a good time. I enjoyed it.
I mean, we all learn something. I mean, I always learn when I'm talking to people, and I appreciate you guys watching all my YouTube channels and supporting. I got a free queen contest out there for 10,000 subscribers. I'm not like Randy, a celebrity. I only got a few subscribers, and I think Todd's got a free queen contest going on, and of course talk to these other guys, Jason down there in New River and Langford and Mike in Tennessee, and buy some bees off of them. They all got good stock,
I've got a drawing going on too, Joe, real quick.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot about you, Jason.
It's fine. It's a drawing on a microscope. So, and it can be used for VSH testing, looking for varroa mites if you're thinking about getting into artificial insemination. So there's a video on that drawing on my YouTube. But that's all. You can go ahead.
Yeah, just wanted to. I appreciate all the guys that's in here. The co-host. I appreciate you guys. We make this not all boring, one guy talking. And I'll be down there sometime here in a few weeks, Randy, and we'll make a video.
Holler at me. I'll get up there and meet you.
Okay. You guys, thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.